Hello, and a wonderful evening to all of you joining live today for this next episode in Linked Up with Amitha. So, I'm sure there are plenty of people who are joining today for the first time, and I'm sure there are many people who are joining for the second or maybe third time for this episode number 4 of Linked Up with Amitha, the LinkedIn Live show. I can see people are joining in on LinkedIn and on Facebook. We are live streaming this through the Asia Pacific Institute of Digital Marketing Facebook fan page as well. So let me know if you are connecting on LinkedIn or connecting on Facebook by leaving a message so that I know that you are watching from LinkedIn or from Facebook. At the same time, if this is the first time you are connecting for this show, just let me know in a comment that you are connecting to Linked Up with Amitha for the first time. Or if you are a repeater, just let me know that as well. So let's get to know who are the people who are frequently connecting live to this and who are the new people who are coming on board. Right. So let me first explain about the program Linked Up with Amitha. If you are a regular repeater, you already know the backstory of the program. Now, I wanted to start this live stream to bring out the stories of Sri Lankan professionals who are in like various different areas, not only in marketing. Yes, I'm from a marketing background, but yes, I'm interviewing a lot of like marketing people on my show. But this show is not limited for just marketing professionals. I want to actually showcase or create an opportunity for some of the best Sri Lankan professionals in various areas, various disciplines to come on board and share their experience, knowledge with our audience. And this is the season 1. I only started this in this January. And in the season 1, the theme for this program is I'm interviewing Sri Lankan expats who are doing really well in other markets. I already interviewed people who are doing really well in the in certain areas in the United Kingdom, and today I'm interviewing someone from closer to home, from the Asian region. So that's the format of this program. Okay, so I don't see any comments coming in, but I see a lot of people flocking around on the LinkedIn stream. We have closer to about like 22 people on LinkedIn and closer to about 10 people on Facebook. So just let me know from who you are by leaving a comment to say hi. Right. Okay. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest speaker today. Otherwise, I'll be doing all the talking. So I have to get our guest speaker on board today. Today, I'm going to invite our guest speaker in a minute. But before that, let me give a quick introduction about our speaker or the guest today. Our guest today is Lakmalee Weerasinghe. She's an experienced media strategist with over 14 years experience in the marketing communications industry. She has a proven track record in delivering high performance strategic media campaigns for multinational brands in a media dark environment in Myanmar, utilizing the available resources and a comprehensive network she built with the media companies in Myanmar. And before moving to Myanmar in 2014, Lakmalee worked in many multinational advertising agencies in Sri Lanka. I used to work with her back at Ogilvy some time back and handling the media strategies for local and multinational brands in Sri Lanka. And she joined the Mango Media Group as a planning manager in 2014, and today she holds the position of account director at Mango Media Group Myanmar. She is a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK and a certified digital marketing professional of the Digital Marketing Institute Ireland. So without any further ado, let me invite Lakmalee Weerasinghe on screen. Hi Lakmalee, how are you?
Hi, Amitha. I'm good. And thank you so much for having me here today and
Great,
giving.
great to have you here. So actually an absolute pleasure to see you after a long time. I think we used to work together way back, if I'm not mistaken, like 2012, 2011, 2012. Yeah,
And 15, yeah. 13 also
the
I was there in Ogilvy.
yeah,
Yeah.
the World Cup campaign. I think that's where we
Yeah,
started working together.
exactly. Yeah.
So good old days, yes. So Lakmali, now I know there are like a lot of people who are here joining today who may already know you from your social networks and all that, but at the same time there are some few people who may not know you.
Mm.
Now, for the interest of the people who are, who don't know you properly, so tell our audience a little about yourself in short, like, I mean, your background from originally from where you are from in Sri Lanka, just
Mm.
a bit of background.
Okay, Amit, I usually talk about others by profession. Today I had to talk about myself, which is not my core competency. So, as you mentioned, I work in Mango Group as an account director. I'm working there in Myanmar for 8 years. If I talk about my client portfolio, currently I'm overseeing in Nestle AOR and Caltex, Carlsberg, Myanmar, United Pharma, and Yili. Those are some of few my clients. Tail
Right.
and I'm an industry professional looking for new challenges.
Yes.
And I typically push others, and also I love to promote brand, and I love to understand, and I want to understand the brand's value, and also cultural things matters to me. Apart from that, I love to travel and explore uh,
All right.
the world, and also I'm fascinated by fashion and the fashion. If I talk about my personal details, I studied in Anula Vidyalaya, and I'm living in Piliandal. Still, I'm living with my parents. Yeah, that's about it.
Right, great, great. I mean, great to hear about your the professional journey and all that. But like, we will talk a little about your journey, right? I mean, how yeah, you said that you studied at Anula Vidyalaya, Nugegoda, right? Anula Vidyalaya. So
Yeah,
the Anula Vidyalaya, okay.
yeah, one and only.
All right. So and then after your school days, like how you ended up in this career direction in marketing in media, and how you started your media career in Sri Lanka, and how you, most importantly, how you got your opportunity to work in Myanmar. Like to hear a bit about that.
Okay, so my journey started as soon as I got my A-level results. I
Hmm.
did maths, and I couldn't go to university at that time with my results, and also I wanted to find out a job. And so I started to look for the opportunity. As a result, I got an opportunity to join as an intern in one of ADB funded project.
All
So
right.
there I got experience for 1.5 years. And also when I got this experience, I wanted to get more exposure in corporate sector.
Right.
So then I was looking for job opportunities again. This might sound a little bit older story, when if I say that when I get my jobs via uh, paper advertisement, because back in
Okay.
those days, we didn't have like a lot of online platforms or job like websites to find jobs. So we have to look for the jobs either on um, newspapers, or either you have to go and submit your CV to the HR department directly, or you have to use your network. So I
Yes.
got this opportunity to join Maharaja Group MTV channel. I saw an advertisement, I applied, I got selected, and I ended up working in media scheduling department.
Nice.
So while that is the place where I learned about that media, like how the program is, live program is happening, how
Mm.
the program is producing, and the media side. Plus, also I got an opportunity to learn about the advertising part when it's
Mhm.
come to media station side.
Right.
And also, before I moved to the agency, I was familiar with that how the campaign is happening, and who are the advertisers, who are the brands, and what kind of campaigns they do on TV and radios. So I got all this exposure, where was triggering a point for me to learn more in marketing and look for opportunities in advertising. So I
Right.
started to learn about marketing. I studied in marketing, both studied at SLIM as well as and I did CIM also. So
Right.
after I worked there for 6 years in MTV channel, and after sometimes when I work there, I feel like my learning curve is stagnant. And so in
Right.
terms of career wise also, then I realized I need to find out another opportunity to and see where I can grow myself and learn more.
Mhm.
So then I came across this opportunity in JWT Media Unit. They are hiring. Since I have this interest in advertising side, I applied and I got selected. And there, I was very much fortunate to handle Unilever account in there. And
Right.
Unilever account at that time, that was the number one account as well.
The
At
the most spending at the account. Like,
accounting that this is
yeah.
around 2006 I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
So then they formed Mindshare and Group M the same time. So I was the one of the member in the first team that when they formed a Group M and Mindshare, and there I learned in Group Mindshare media planning and buying. So, and when you know that when you handle a multinational client like Unilever, you have to learn and also you have to do a lot of innovation because
Yeah.
the clients always ask for something extra. So we did
Yeah.
a lot of innovation. If I name it in TV to radio to websites out of home,
Mm.
and also that I learned to handle outdoor activations
Yeah.
as well. Work
That
with
that positive level of stress which helps you to grow.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, this is also we learn after some times when we look back, like
Yeah.
we learn a
Exactly.
lot of things, and actually it's just like a university for me for
Yeah.
me to learn all these things from zero to like
Mm.
where I'm at right now. And while I was working there for, I think I worked there for 3.5 years. And then I got an offer from Ogilvy Media, from Lalit Sumanasiri. You and me know very well him. He's the MD in Ogilvy Media. He gave me an offer, so I considered that.
Mhm.
And then after that, I joined to Ogilvy Media. There, I handle main client was SLTUR, and also, as you said, we handle ICC cricket campaign back in the days. And so I worked there for also, I think, 3.5 years or 4 years nearly.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, I'm very much travel enthusiastic person, so I want to explore the world at that time also. And after I worked for top-notch agencies, and I realized I wanted to move out from Sri Lanka, and then I started to find out jobs in other countries, like other
Right.
countries. So then I got connected with one of my friend.
Uh-huh.
Her name is Varsha. She was working in Myanmar at that time. I was so fascinated with her. Like she used to post all these her travels in Myanmar, the photographs, everything. So then I reached out to her and asked whether
Mhm.
she could help me to find a job. Then she was happily helped me to find a job there. She just passed my CV to agencies in Myanmar, and then I got an interview call from my Mango group.
Yeah.
So I ended up in Mango group in
Great.
2014 as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how
No,
my
great,
journey.
great.
And I,
Actually, it's a great story to hear, Lakmalee. I mean, one thing that I think to we'll move on with the other topic very soon. But before that, I mean, for our audience, one thing that I want to sum up from Lakmalee's journey is that like always look for opportunities, right? I mean, a lot of the people who are here in Sri Lanka, the talented people who are here in Sri Lanka, they self reject, right? Okay, I'm not good enough to apply for this job in Singapore, I'm not good enough to apply for this job in Dubai or somewhere. They self reject themselves. But Lakmalee is a great example that she didn't self reject herself. She applied and she pursued, and she got her chance to work as a person in the region, to gain that experience working in the region, going outside Sri Lanka, because we need, I mean, industry needs people to go out and work there and get the experience and come back and share that experience. You need to try that. So Lakmalee, coming to our topic today, integrated media planning, that's going to be our topic today. Now to enter this discussion about integrated media planning, now my first question to you is, how do you see the whole digital revolution will impact the traditional media consumption patterns, especially in our region, in Sri Lanka, in Myanmar, the South and Southeast Asian region. So this media consumption patterns, like in our region, let's say for the next 5 years, do you think TV will die soon? Because everybody is predicting TV is going to die like for last 10 years, but it's not dying, it seems. But what's your predictions?
Okay, I know there's this buzz, as you said, for 10 years, and also, and sometimes it threatening us also. I was a traditional media planner back in Sri Lanka, and also when I moved to Myanmar also. So sometimes you also like thinking, okay, what I'm going to do next, like being a traditional media planner. So I learned anyways. So there's this buzz around for some times. As a media professional, media planning professional, I won't believe that it won't happen within 5 years for sure. If we look at the numbers, like TV is one of the medium still having higher penetration in most of the markets. After, maybe it's after internet or more than that. If we look at the numbers, especially in Asian market, and the other concern, other thing is like, especially when it comes to emerging market where I work, that is the one of the main medium that we could reach to the rural areas and also low SCC levels. So still the higher penetration is for the TV. So for me, the linear TV, it still will not die soon. And yes, there will be a time that it will be to the maximum level, and it might get stagnant numbers, but it doesn't mean that TV will be die. And the other factor is that we know that people are now exposed to multi screens. So like they what they do is, while they watching TV, they use some another screen. Either they socializing with friends, or they use this whatever the message or social platform to connect with their friends or other things. So uh, I see this as an the complement. It's not competing
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah.
So for as a marketer, we need to see that opportunity and we need to utilize it. And also when the numbers is proven that when they see any product or new something new in the TV, they tend to search on online. So
Right.
this is also
Yeah.
happening. So this is
Yeah.
this so I believe TV won't die soon for sure,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
within next five
Yeah,
years.
absolutely. Now, yeah. I mean, now, one trend that I actually observed, right? I mean, this is kind of like, this goes with the technology and it goes with the intergenerational relationships as well. Now, when we were kids, like, I mean, TV used to connect the family. Like, I mean, you only had one TV screen per home, and everybody gather around the TV to watch Doodaru or whatever, right? So that used to be our childhood, right? So then what happened, this I'm talking like 80s, 90s, and even up until about like to most part of early 2000s, right?
Yeah, true.
And
Yes.
then what happened was like, starting from, let's say, 2008, 9, 10, with internet becoming popular, what happened was in the family, the younger kids, they took their laptop or later the mobile screen, they went to their bedroom, whereas around the TV now it's only the older generation. Now these younger kids, so that generation who were like teenagers from like 2007 to like 2018 19, they were like the mobile and the laptop screen generation. Now I'm
Yeah,
seeing another change happening, a revival. That's our children's generation. What now happens is, now the smart TV, again the family is coming around the TV screen in the living room. This time it's around Netflix or iFlix or
yeah,
YouTube. Now again this device is bringing the family again together. That trend I'm actually observing now
yeah,
in that context. I think you are right, like this multi-screen behavior and intergenerational relationships, all things matters. So it it won't die, as you quite correctly said. The TV as a device, it won't die definitely. Even
yeah.
as a broadcast medium, it won't die. It'll adapt these new technologies over the top, broadcasting and all sort of things, and it'll actually go into the next generation.
Yeah, and also I think TV media stations also take this as a challenge and challenge for them to
Absolutely.
survive. When
Yeah.
they generate content, and I think they are more now careful, and they try to secure their viewership, and
Absolutely.
also they also try to reach with online platforms, and again try to grab this audience, either like it could may not maybe coming directly with the viewership, or maybe via social media. That is also I see, and yes, it is. I think it's kind of a TV transforming again, as you correctly said, bringing the family together.
Yes. Yeah, because
Yes,
the stations are also now like creating more digital driven content and
yes.
all that. They try to converge the TV patterns and the digital patterns and everything. Yes. Now my next question is, Lakmalee, like in this context, now we know that online media and digital platforms are becoming popular, right? So I talked about like Netflix, iFlix, and all these things. So these platforms are becoming popular, but at the same time, yes, TV is also going to stay there for a longer period, foreseeable period. So now, as a media planner, how should someone actually take an integrated approach for media planning to take their brand messages out in this kind of like a converging media situation?
Okay, so for this integrated planning, so it's I'm working in the media dark market, and also we have certain limitations when it's come to resources. So, however, we already have started. So, I'll explain the process that what we are doing at the moment. What we are doing is we are trying to identify the platforms that drive the main reach, both online and offline. So that is number one that we do, and then we do identify the role of each media, each media touch point across the consumer funnel. And then, for an example, let's say if we focus purely on the brand awareness, we are trying to identify the overlapping among the online and offline platforms to adjust the reach level. So these are the three key steps. Of course, that you have to have your goals and you need to look at your budget. But I'm just talking about the three key factors that we were considering when we do as a integrate planning approach. Apart from that, Amita, I just wanted to add a few key elements of when
Mhm.
it's come to media planning. One is that we need to define this audience with offline and online. So
Right.
online data and the data and the insights. Like for an example, like let's say here we consider that offline data, for an example, demographic, lifestyle, and the purchase
Mm.
habit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also alternatively, when we look at this online data, that we have consumer centric data. My market is Facebook driven market, so most of the time we rely on the data that we could get from there. How, so what we do is we pair this offline data with online, and we try to create the big picture
Right.
and understand how and when and where to activate them. And
Yeah.
also, the another fact is geographically wise targeting also something
Mm.
a key thing, that because we know that our consumers always on the go and
Yeah.
they will not tethered to a single location. So we need to understand like a true day in life of the consumer, especially when it's come to their purchasing habit, then we need to redefine this.
Hmm.
Uh, that is one thing. And the other thing is, as I mentioned earlier as well, we need to uh, we need to see this media as a complementary
Right.
media touch points. You know, we
Yeah.
should not see this as a competitive one. And also multimedia, like what is most relevant to our consumers, and
Hmm.
multimedia touch point, which is help to inform and accelerate the purchase path to purchase. Those things
Right.
that we need to consider when we do the integrated planning.
Right. Great. Great. I think I mean you made a real valuable point there. Like in integrated planning, the biggest advantage is the data we have from the digital frontier. Like
Yeah,
a lot of the time, I mean that's a good valid point. Now in Sri Lanka, I see that okay, the there's still this segregation between the digital planners and the traditional planners, and the digital planners try to get their data and do their media planning only on digital platforms, whereas the traditional planners, they still rely on the what you mentioned, the demographic data and all that, the SEC classifications and all that, right? But the moment you actually put these two data sets together, you get the behavioral data from the digital platforms, and you have the other data from your traditional platforms. You can really do cross
exactly.
platform planning, which can be much more effective in actually taking the message out. I mean, just a cross question from that same conversation, Lakmali, like
Mhm.
are you guys using any particular planning models or tools to do this, or how does that happen, the cross platform planning?
The when okay So I work for certain multinational clients, so they also
Right.
have their planning method, like we work as with the agency and client together when we implementing. If you you must be also knowing that when it's come to Unilever, Nestle, they have
Hmm.
their own or the own ways of doing media buys and the planning. So we get that exposure as well. So for them, we do it in a separate manner. But when it's come to our agency, certain client, they need our guidance. So for
Hmm.
that, what we have done is we have developed certain scorecard level for them to guide and for them to give that exposure, and for us also to convince them easily, we use that scorecard and we work with that. That is how we work. If you talk about the techniques or the tools, at the moment we don't have. Actually, we
Right.
try to acquire certain
Hmm.
tools, but comparatively the prices and also this
Yes, I understand.
implementing
That's
things.
that's a common challenge that we face in this region. I mean, there is technology, but the return on investment for such technology is still not justifiable in our region. That's common across, I think, in Southeast Asia as well.
And
Yeah.
also some clients, they wanted to part be a part of, then some client they really don't want to,
Right.
so that's also something that we are struggling. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, that really connects well to my next question, right? About this, like, lack of technology, or rather, unaffordability of technology in our region and all that. Like now you have worked as a media planner or media planning strategist both in Sri Lanka and in Myanmar, right? In two markets. Now, according to your experience so far, like tell us like what major differences do you see the way these two markets operates and behave? Are we I mean, Sri Lanka, are we behind Myanmar and rest of Southeast Asia, or are we ahead of them? Like, how do you compare the two markets?
Okay, okay, we talk about this that Myanmar is a media dark market having challenges even right now. So apart from that, the major differences what I see is in terms of market size. Myanmar is a bigger market than Sri Lanka. So if we look at, for an example, Sri Lanka Facebook audience is around 8.3 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's somewhere around
So,
8 to 8.5 million. Yes,
okay.
that will be the active
So,
audience. Yeah.
so Myanmar is a market is around 19 million. So you know
Yes.
that how
Hmm.
big the market is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, of course, we need to reach all these people that when we do a campaign. So we get in terms of budget, right, the significant higher budget
Hmm.
compared to Sri Lanka. So I have budget data 2004 before 2014. For however, I know
Yeah.
that we have a bigger budget compared to Sri Lanka,
Right.
especially like TV and digital medium. And having said that, Amitha, Sri Lanka is more fragmented market because
Right.
if you look at Myanmar is a Facebook-driven market, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's quite challenging for us to convince client to try out other platforms.
Hmm.
But when I see that Sri Lanka, it's more fragmented. They have all these Facebook, Google, TikTok, Spotify, Clubhouse,
Hmm.
and also like they are very much bigger. I think Sri Lanka is
Yeah.
very much bigger in gaming,
Yeah.
but in Myanmar we have PUBG, Mobile Legends. Those are the
Hmm.
two main
Hmm.
games. Like,
Yeah.
and also if we look at the live streamers point of view, that
Hmm.
Sri Lanka is very much professional, and there are so many live streamers. I have
Hmm.
seen, I have experienced
Right.
that, but
Right.
in Myanmar, it's developing, but
Yeah.
yet to come that level
Yeah.
in what Sri Lanka is right now.
Yeah.
So those are the
Hmm.
few differences, and
Hmm.
also the far behind and or ahead. I think it's a bit parallel. I really
Okay.
don't know
Right.
how to elaborate it
Yeah.
in really detail, because when I, with my experience, I think it's parallel. But the difference is when it's come to new initiative, Sri Lanka is ahead
Hmm.
of Myanmar compared to, because
Right.
I have seen, like I have my network and I have seen and
Hmm.
even like including you, Amita, I know back
Hmm.
in those, how do you like how you have done like initiative in the market, and like especially movement marketing, all these things that you have done. So like yeah, I think parallel, but
Yeah.
still
Some
Lanka has.
maybe okay. Like I mean, what you mentioned is I can actually relate this because because I involved in the Cambodia market a bit in terms of training activities and everything. What you mentioned about Myanmar is pretty much similar. This situation in Cambodia as well. It's also very much like Facebook driven market. As you said, I
Mhm.
mean the search is. I mean yes, search is it's very much vernacular. I mean, they search in their own language, so therefore it's really difficult to use Google Ads platform to do much of like search engine marketing there. And because of that, like it's very much they are also it's very much like Facebook driven. Now, is this something to do with the IT literacy of the market or something to that effect? I mean, they don't want to try out new technologies. Do you see a cultural barrier there?
And for me, when it's come to Myanmar, when the market is open,
Mm,
their market, and then we had a problem. Even when I go 2014, we had only one telecommunication partner.
right.
2015 only we got this to telecommunication and change the landscape of Myanmar. So with
Right.
that, people get this exposure to advanced technology. We call it leapfrog nations because they
Hmm.
never
Hmm.
experience much of this, analog phones like us. They
Yes. Right.
started their journey with the smartphones. So with
Right.
that,
Right.
Facebook was there already, and
Okay.
then they got familiar, and
Yeah.
also like most of the people, because they are doing a lot of in Burma, like Myanmar, they used to do their own businesses, small
Yes.
businesses. So they
Okay.
started promoting their businesses through their that marketplace they find in Facebook. That is also
Right.
one
Right.
reason.
No,
So
I'm seeing quite similarities in the Sri Lankan rural sector. I mean,
Mhm.
because you're right. I mean, Sri Lanka is a fragmented market in many ways. Like
yeah,
if you
true.
take the fragmentation, or rather the polarization between the urbanized Sri Lanka and the rural Sri Lanka, the gap is huge. Like, I mean, the urbanized Sri Lanka, if you take like Colombo and suburbs and the main cities, like there, yes, the adaptation of new technology is so rapid. I mean, they adapt everything, like as you said, Clubhouse, like very popular, but in
Yeah,
Colombo, right? Very
yeah.
popular, but in Colombo. But you go outside Sri Lanka, internet is about Facebook. Like everybody is like, they, they they rarely click on a link and land on another website. They want to actually do everything on Facebook. So I see quite a similarity in the media behavior there.
And also for Myanmar, what we call is the Facebook, the Google is their Facebook, not the Facebook actually. They search every single thing in Facebook.
Facebook.
So, yeah. See, up until now, it's the same. Yeah.
Great, great. Right. Okay. So, I mean, this really interesting. I mean, these comparisons and all that, and that's there. Now, okay. Now, Lakmalee, again, like you worked in the Sri Lankan market and you worked in the Myanmar market, and like if you're advising any of the new media planning professional in Sri Lanka who is entering, right now, what advice you can give them today based on your experiences working in a totally different market? From that, what advices you can actually give to a new person who is entering into this profession?
Well, okay. So when it's come to marketing, it's the landscape keep changing, and the challenge is it's hard for us to foresee the things, and also like constrained into the past methods. So, and it is important for us to understand. To unlearn and also
Hmm.
relearn. That
Hmm.
is one thing that we know we need to learn. Like what I'm trying to say here, that we need to be open minded, and also we need to make sure that we create room to like learn like new processes and also new habits, those things. So what I'm trying to say here is, like for an example, even right now, we rely on most of the plan,
Hmm.
reach and frequency the details, plus and also we are talking about the brand recall. But
Hmm.
actually, we really need to focus on the brand relevance and how we create the engagement. This
Right.
is that thing that those are one thing that we need to learn and we need to establish. And it's not just the eyeballs anymore. So those
Yes,
things matters.
absolutely.
So that is something that example of
Hmm.
unlearn and how we
Yeah.
can see the way
Yeah,
forward. And
just to
also,
add one point there, Lakmali, actually that's very important. Like, because even in our programs at Apidem, we always encourage marketers to look at it as a full funnel exercise. You are no longer, like 10 years ago, the marketer, your job is at the top of the funnel, build awareness and interest, that's it, right? You run your ads, you get your rating points and reach numbers, frequency number, that's it, right? Then let the salespeople take care of all the conversion and all. But now with this digital integration and everything, every marketer is a full funnel marketer. Now you
Exactly.
have to set your awareness level, you have to make sure you are getting the brand engagement, and end of the day you get the conversion as well. So you
Excellent.
are
Yeah.
absolutely right there.
I
Yeah,
don't rely on the awareness anymore. That's true.
yeah, yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't know, it's the right thing to say, but
Right. I think there seems to be a power failure at Lakmalee's place. That's what I sense. She suddenly went offline. Uh, Let me see whether she comes back online. Right. Okay. So, I mean, if it's going to be the scheduled power failure, unfortunately, I think we might have to actually close the show. But we'll wait. If it is a short break or short breakdown, she'll come back online so we can actually connect her online. So today we were actually talking to Lakmalee Weerasinghe from Mango Media Group, Myanmar, about integrated media planning. She was actually sharing some of the great points, experiences from her experience with Mango Media Group, working in a media dark market in Myanmar. I think she's back. Let's give her a minute and see whether she's back.
sorry,
Lak-
Amita, I have a problem with the electricity. There's a power
I
cut.
know, I know.
Yes.
So what we'll do is, no worries. We'll continue the discussion like this. You can
Okay.
switch off your video, and we'll have you on
Sure.
audio, and you can continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Sorry
were
about that. Yeah.
no problem. I mean, these are things we can't control of, right? So yeah, we were talking about the importance of full funnel approach to marketing.
Yeah. So that is one thing, and also the other thing I wanted to add here is, Amita, I'm not sure whether like this is a media planning side, but this is a frequent question that I'm getting from my clients. So
Hmm.
we know that we are more, for the fact, you know, that I'm handling multinational clients, and we have to adapt certain content coming from the regional hubs. So
Hmm.
what I here wanted to tell, we need to relearn how we do the content adaptations, because even for my brand managers, my marketing heads, they also having this dilemma sometimes. Okay, what do you think about this commercial? Should we
Hmm.
try this out? And like, this kind of like, what is your opinion? So for me, I personally believe that we need to relearn about the significance of regional language when it's come to content adaptations.
Hmm.
And we need to learn how to adapt and how to make it more relevant to the target audience. And also, we need to focus on how we're going to drive the engagement in middle funnel and the end funnel when we do
Right.
these kind of measures. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
Great. So yeah, go ahead, Lakmali. Yeah.
yeah. So, other thing I just want to add for the professionals in marketing and media sector, I wanted to say that we don't have base of like, especially when it's come to media planning, we don't have a base of prior learning when before we join to the advertising
Hmm.
agencies. We learn while we worked. It's still the same scenario in Myanmar also. So sometimes academic knowledge is not enough for us to excel the career. So
Yes.
we need to focus on how we acquired well recognized professional qualifications relating to our industries.
Hmm.
Now, with this pandemic, one thing that I personally believe that is also one good thing happened. There were
Hmm.
so many online platforms. Those are
Hmm.
coming from well recognized institute and the universities that we can learn, we can upskill, or we can
Hmm.
fill the gaps. So we need
Yes.
to get the maximum out of it, and sometimes we can find free learning as well. And
Hmm.
some of the courses, I believe, that is priced at a very reasonable level as well. So
Hmm.
these are the advice I could give for the marketeers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, keep upskilling yourself. That's the secret, because that's something that we've been pushing in Sri Lanka for the marketing fraternity, to get yourself upskilled for the digital marketing era and all that. Now, there are a couple of questions from audience, and both questions are actually related to Meta and Metaverse. I know this is not like directly related to today's discussion. So, Lakmali, if you have anything to add on this topic, of course, I would like love to hear from you. But if not, that's fine. Taraka and Suresh, what we will do is we will open a discussion later on in one of the upcoming episodes. We'll get someone to talk about metaverse. We'll get a metaverse expert and talk about that, so that I'll make a note about that. But over to you, Lakmali, if you want to add anything about the this new phenomenon everybody's talking about, metaverse. Yes.
Amitha, I'm also learning about the metaverse, and we also had series of training session about the metaverse. And right now, actually, I'm not in a position to add like how it could work, but I foresee that it's becoming but the training that we get from them, what I see is like they create room for like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of for the creative, and also there was a gap of sometimes, especially for when our market like do this we do the post mostly, like, but we can go beyond that, and that it's becoming more advanced. That is one thing that I learned when we like they gave us a creative training as well, like how we can improve that our creativity levels. So I'm still too early for me to talk about that because I'm
Right.
still learning about it. Yeah.
Because what happens is now, something that I've noticed, or monitored over the years about these new features of social networks and all. So what happens is, like, every year, every other year, maybe every 2 3 years, these tech giants, be it Google or be it Facebook, they come up with something big, a big news, like, okay, we are going to revolutionize the way people look at media, the way people look at search or social, and they come up with something big. But
Yeah.
what happens is, after maybe a year or two, that big thing become, diluted, and it get pivoted into something we totally never expected it to be. Right now, there was this good example. I can't remember how Google named it. Google Wave, right? So that was,
Yeah.
I think, 2011 or 2012. I think Google launched this thing called Google Wave. They termed it as an email killer, right? That's how
Yeah.
it came,
I
right?
remember.
But what happened was, now Google Wave is no longer, but that idea, the concept they brought forward is, they are everywhere. The threaded conversations, these you take like tools like Trello to Asana, and all these new platforms actually are built on that very fundamental concept brought forward by Google Wave. But Google Wave is no longer there, right? So
Yeah.
likewise, even this metaverse thing, my personal belief is, it might not evolve as how Mark Zuckerberg explained it in the launch event, right? But it might evolve, it might take few pivots, and 5 years down the line, it might be completely a different thing than what people are predicting it today, and it will be a better thing than what people are predicting today. That's my take on this whole meta thing. But nevertheless, like, what we'll do is, we'll get a meta expert someday for this show, and
For
we'll
sure.
talk about that. Yes, Namal. Yes, thank you very much for reminding me that that's Google Wave. Yeah, Google Wave evolved, but nobody talks about Google Wave anymore. But we are seeing that concept everywhere on all these, like, messaging tools and social platforms everywhere. Right. Okay. So we are slowly coming to the end of the scheduled time. Lakmali, I have one last question to you before we actually wind up the show today. Now, Lakmali, now like the if you look at the Sri Lankan economy right now, how now we are talking about this dollar crisis and all that. Now, for as long as we can remember, Sri Lanka used to be a labor export market, particularly in the blue collar jobs in Middle Eastern region and all that. That was huge, right? But there were like lot of discussions about knowledge
Yes,
export, and exporting skilled professionals to other markets, and making that a huge part of Sri Lanka's economy. And people like you and people like Dr. Samantika we had in last session, and we had Roshan and Manoj who were in my show in the previous episode. So there are plenty of other people that I know, right? Now there are
yes,
like plenty of living examples that Sri Lanka can become a real good knowledge exporter or skilled professionals exporter. You don't have to target maybe like Australia, UK, Europe, US, but even in our neighboring countries, there is a massive demand for certain professional skills. But do you think, are we making the maximum of it? Are Sri Lankans exploring those opportunities enough? So, what sort of opportunities are there now? If someone wants to actually build a career in a Southeast Asian region market, where should they begin? So over to you. Like,
mm-mm.
how do you see this whole phenomenon?
Okay, so Amitha, like when we look at Sri Lankans, there are so many Sri Lankans out there and they have proved their talent. So we know for the fact that Sri Lankans are very committed, hardworking, which is one of the big plus point.
Mhm.
So especially in the IT sector, where you know that they pull long hours and tight deadlines, and Sri Lankans are doing well. And I believe there are still lot of opportunities out there for Sri Lankan to explore. So apart from that, what I see is that the professional Sri Lankans in South Asian region, I can see that there are a lot of professional working in hospitality industries, banking and finance, telecommunication, marketing, apparel, and I can name like wise. There are like I know I have a lot of network who's working in Malaysia, Singapore, and even in Vietnam. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. Only the fact is, the Sri Lankans are not go and search and try to grab
Mhm.
those opportunities. One thing,
Yeah.
and the other thing I want to add is the creativity is something that we need to compete in this region,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of opportunities for the creative side. Like if I name it like creative directors, art directors, even the creative designers, there are a lot of potential for Sri Lankan to go and success, get the opportunities.
Mhm.
Apart from that, like if we talk about sales, administration, or HR side, it will be challenging as they need lot of local experience. But even in Myanmar, there are Sri Lankans who work in those fields, and I think if you know how to compete and also if you have the confident, and you can push yourself and grab all these opportunities. Uh, and your second question is about this careers, you know.
Mhm.
The most of the careers in emerging with the global pandemic, if we look at even in the same for this our region, healthcare sector and also education sector and digital services, there are a lot of opportunities out there. But only thing is, I don't know whether Sri Lankans are willing to go out and explore, because and the other
Mhm.
thing
Mhm.
is like, you know, we always look for the big markets to go
Yes.
and
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's that's the biggest problem. I mean, the moment our people like think about like foreign opportunities and all
the
that, they look
well-developed
at
market.
Europe. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. But Amita, trust me, there are so much of emerging markets that they need our expertise,
yes,
and they are
absolutely. Yeah.
they are if you compare with the disposable income that we can get with the development market, it is also the
Mhm.
same. And also,
Yeah.
but I believe even when I go to Myanmar also, I realize that with our we are servicing them with our expertise, and also they also giving us a good opportunity for us to
Mhm.
learn and grow. So uh,
Yeah.
don't stick to like, oh, okay, like you try to go out for the well developed market. There are so much of emerging market where Sri Lankan can use their expertise
Hmm.
and get good value. So this is what I can share with my
Yeah.
experience.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very good point you brought in. Like, I mean, Sri Lankans. One thing that I actually observed is the self rejection. They don't want to try, and that's
Exactly.
one problem that I see. Then the second thing is the people who are trying. They are straight away. They are trying to hit the Europe, US, or Australia. So those are the hotspot. They are trying to get into those places. But compared to that, like I have, I mean, I know, like, I mean, several people from some of the other countries in the region, I mean, to name, like from India and all, like their approach is different. What they do is they first try to actually explore the neighboring region. They try to come to Sri Lanka and work for a while. They try to go to Myanmar or Indonesia and work for a while, and then move to Singapore and then try US, right? So that's
Yeah.
how they do, right? But
Yeah.
our people, they have this mindset sometime. Okay, I only want to go to Europe or US. But as you quite correctly said, these markets, they have plenty of knowledge gaps. And
It is.
I mean, in
Yeah.
in my field in digital marketing training, that's one of the areas we are exploring in the region. And we realize that there are plenty of knowledge gaps, skill gaps in this region. Southeast Asian region, South Asian region, it's a huge region, right? I mean, the population, if you
It is.
take the amount of
Population wise.
businesses. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can fill some of those gaps, knowledge gaps, skills gaps, and there are plenty of opportunities for Sri Lankans if they try. So that's a
I.
message I think we have to pass.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, Lakmali, I think we had a very interesting discussion for about an hour, and we are coming to the top of the hour. And I know that you are experiencing the the latest Sri Lankan unfortunate situation, but we can't avoid these things. Entire Sri Lanka is experiencing this. Like, I had my power cut from 4:30 to 6:30 today, 2 hours,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so
No,
I
my
was, yeah. So anyway, so Lakmali, really, I mean, I really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge, and I believe like the people who tuned in, they really liked the content we covered today. And I wish you all the very best in your career. And we'll maybe connect once again in one of the upcoming shows once again and talk more about these things. So until such time, thank you very much, Lakmali. You can actually talk to the audience. You have last remarks, and after that we can wind up.
Amita, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and also create this kind of platform. Because even I listened to your previous three episode. Of course, I was so impressed with those personalities, and I'm sure that Sri Lankans have much more potential and go out and uh, make maximum out of it. So thank you again, Amita. Yeah, sure. I'm look forward for the next discussion as well. Wish you all the very best in your future endurance as well.
Thank you very much, Lakmali. Okay, bye, everybody. Good night. And I'll see you once again in one of the episodes of Linked Up with Amitha. So, next time when we come, we are going to talk about another interesting topic that is on data driven marketing. And I'm going to get another person, another Sri Lankan expat who is actually expertised in data driven marketing. This time we are going to go to the other corner of the world to talk to our next guest. That will be on 7th of March when we connect for the next episode of Linked Up with Amitha. So until I meet you once again, thank you very much and